Hi, Jennifer Kinzle here, Charles Rutenberg Realty of Illinois and Fox Valley Homes. And today I wanted to talk with you a little bit about buying a home, especially for you guys that are first-time home buyers. Now, you guys are in a bit of a special category for me because I like to take a couple long talks, either in person, over the phone, or a Zoom chat, just to get a feel for where you're at, what your expectations are, and what you expect to find out there in the home buying market, because it's a lot different to buy a home these days than it used to be. Some things have been streamlined, especially with mortgage loan applications, and some things are, traditionally complicated. Having to meet the loan to value ratios, making sure you have enough income, W-2s, tax returns, all that fun stuff. So the big question with a lot of renters out there are, what's the next step as far as meeting the goal of home ownership? And to be honest, a lot of people like the flexibility of renting. They like the idea of not having to worry about the maintenance. Home ownership has some of the burdens associated with, lawn cutting, or if a fuse breaks, or, if the furnace goes out. It's all on the homeowner to repair it. So maintenance costs really need to be a checkbox that you need to review. Can you afford it? Do you want the hassle? Are you ready to commit to 5 years or longer to staying in one place? A lot of times people like the flexibility because you can just pick up from a rental and move if you don't like the area or the neighbors, or it's a busy street, or maybe they don't like the schools in that area. Renting does offer a lot of flexibility. So not to exactly talk you into it or out of it, of course, but for my first-time home buyers, that's where the conversation needs to start as far as what your goals are, what your expectations are. And then, of course, it always comes into, the financial picture. A lot of times renters already have to come up with a significant amount to secure a deposit on a rental. That's basically what your down payment is going to look like for like an FHA loan. You can go 3.5% of the purchase price, and a lot of times for starter homes especially, that can be very affordable for people that already have to do a security deposit for a rental. Another thing that they have to kind of look at is, are you going to be able to stay and kind of break-even point on your mortgage? Most lenders are going to give you a sheet that'll give you a breakout of your principal and interest payments over a 30-year period. Now, I think the earmark of the industry is if you're not going to stay at least, 5 years, it's not worth it, because after you do taxes and the closing costs and the mortgage fees and discount points, if you've got all those wonderful little extras that gotchas, is it really worth buying a home if you're not going to stay at least 5 years? And that's another point that you kind of need to sit down and go over your numbers to see, will it really work for you financially? It might be that, even if you can afford $2,500 a month in rent, maybe it works better in your interest to just rent instead of buying. So that's another thing to go over. But the other thing, a lot of first-time buyers are nervous with talking to lenders, pulling their financial paperwork together. And that's standard across the board. Any mortgage guy or gal you're going to talk to is going to say, hey, we need to look at these numbers. We want to know what you can afford. We want to know what your comfort level is. We're going to pull your credit at some point. Maybe not in the beginning, but they will ask that. And of course, there's going to be restrictions on, if you're going to be buying a new car at the same time you're buying a house, that's a big no-no. You can't have a big purchase in the middle of a home purchase. You got to put the brakes on buying furniture, buying a boat, buying an RV, pretty much putting anything on a credit card or opening a new line of credit or taking out an auto loan. All that's got to come to a screeching halt until you close on your house, because they're going to want to pull your credit report before, during, and after, sometimes the whole 9 yards. It's going to be not a tricky process, but it does take quite a bit of time for you to get into the system, hold the mortgage open, run through the appraisal, get your home inspection, and then wrap it up and close. It takes, sometimes as little as 6 weeks. It can run out to 12 weeks, depending on how quickly your mortgage guy works, how fast the appraiser comes out, all that good stuff. So there's not an exact timetable for it. I'd say between 4 to 6 weeks would be pretty quick. You can go as far as 8 to 10 weeks. That would be a little slower. 12 weeks for most standard mortgages, a conventional, an FHA, a VA. Some of those would go through pretty smoothly. So The other thing I would talk to you about for a first-time home buyer situation is not wanting to put the cart before the horse. You'd want to come up with a list of wants, something that you really want to have in a home, but separate that out from the needs. You need 2 bedrooms, 3 bedrooms, 4 bedrooms. You need to have, X, Y, and Z, what your pain points are. Maybe in your current apartment, you've only got a 2-bedroom, and this is just not going to work for a future home, and you want to have room to grow. Maybe you need that home office in a separate space, or maybe you always wanted to have a basement that you can finish out your way. What are your needs versus what your wants? And think about the 5-year plan too. You don't want to just, cut and run and take the first, 3-bedroom house you can find. Are you going to grow in it for the next couple of years? And maybe you'll have a dog. Maybe you have to have that backyard. Maybe that backyard has to have a fence because you've got a runner. And sometimes they like to run and they forget to stop. So yeah, we get that too. So that's another consideration on there. And all of these conversations happen over, a course of a couple days, or as we're looking at properties, or as you look at properties in your bunny slippers at night on Zillow or one of the sites out there. Or you can call me for a list and we can talk about, your options as far as number of bedrooms, your price range. But you're going to need to get your ducks in a row. Figure out prioritizing, what your needs versus your wants, so that you can tell me what to look for. Because it's a big home market out there. And the more specific you can get, the better your selections will be and the better I can pull the list. So, my first-time home buyers, what other questions do you guys have for me? What can we talk about? How can we streamline this process? What are your needs? What are your wants? And of course, how's this going to fit into your big financial picture? Are you going to want to stick around for 5 years? Or, is this just not the right time? Leave your comments and notes below, or you can reach out to me direct on Facebook or text me or message me. I am at your service. We'll talk soon. Thanks.